Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Honga. Let's check it out. Setup for the game is very simple. Each player is going to take a player board right here, pick the player board they want, put it in front of them. Each player starts with one fish, one berry, one mushroom, and no water. They also have their little mammoth herd over to the side. Start player will get this little fire token here. Now the game says to, hey, put this board up here, this little sideboard here, and put all the mammoths here that you don't have in your possession on the board. That's fine, but I find it better just to shuffle these two little discs here and place them over here, but that's just my particular way I like setting things up. You can also shuffle this deck of cards, place it here. This is the discard pile for that. Shuffle this deck of cards, then deal out 3 into the outlined areas that you see here. You're going to put Honga right here in the middle, Tusk here. You're going to put all your cavemen here on the little caveman spot here. Everyone starts at the bottom. This game plays up to 5 players. And of course, they got the little scoring cues that will start right here in the hut and will move around the board. Now, what you're going to be doing on your turn is very simple. What you're going to be doing is drawing one of these regular disc tiles, and you're going to be placing hands on the board, and hands count as actions. And there's usually about 4 for each one. They're separated. They all look a little bit different and give you different options depending on where you position the hands. So, for instance, if I was to position hands like so, I could take 1 fish. As you see, there's 1 hand there. I could take 2 water, so 1 fish, 2 water, and I could move up this track 1. So I'm blue player, I'd move up 1. Now let me explain what each one of these are. Of course, with the tracks, what happens is as players are moving up the track, whoever gets to the top first will trigger a scoring round. And what that would mean is, blue player, since they made it to the top, they get 5 points. Black would get 2. Yellow would get 1, as would these two. They'd each get 1. So everyone gets 1, except for black, he got 2, I believe. And then the blue player got 5. And then of course you'd move them all back down to the bottom and they'd race up that hill again. They're cavemen. I guess that's the only fun they can have. What does water do? Well, water, as you see on the corner of the board, can be exchanged. You can exchange 2 water for any 1 resource on your board. So maybe you want more berries, or maybe you want more mushrooms, or whatever. Of course, fish is just a resource. Very similar to berries and mushrooms. If I was to place it like so, I could grab 2 berries. Or place it like so, and as you see, you have to line it up just where the lines are. I could grab 2 mushrooms. I could also grab one of these cards. These are basically just little bonus cards. The rule book tells you what each one means, but they're very simple to understand for the most part. And then, if you have a hand up here, you can fulfill 1 of these cards. Maybe 2 if I had turned it like so. And these cards make you cash in certain resources you gather for points. So if I had 3 mushrooms, I could cash them in and get 3 victory points. Or maybe I can cash in 1 of each resource and get 5 victory points. Or this one says, hey, get a fish and take a mammoth, put a mammoth, and we'll give you 6 victory points. Now, mammoths are one thing I haven't spoken about yet. If you put a hand here, you can create a mammoth here. Mammoths cost 1 of each resource. You need just 1, 2, 3, and then you can have a mammoth. You put him on the board there. Now, if you wanted to, you could also put him here on in the mammoth herd here. Now, if you do that, you get to claim this tusk token. What the tusk allows you to do is draw cards from this pile. This pile, instead of having 4 different hands, it has 5 hands. So you're going to get more powerful actions when you're choosing the tusk cards. And you get to continue to pick tusk cards for as long as you hold the tooth here. Now, if another player was to move around here and there was a tie for the lead, whoever was the last one in the spot would claim the tusk token. So again, if it was like this, then red would have it. Now, depending on whether it's a 2 to 3 player game, 4 or 5 player game, that shows the limit of where the herd can go. So if blue wanted to put another one here and it was just 3 players, this one would just go off the board instead of move around. The only action that I have yet to talk about has been Honga. As you see, there is an area for him. you always want to place a hand on Honga the saber-toothed tiger. He is very needy. If you do not give him love, if you do not pet him for one round, then he's going to come over and he's going to stay with you. And he's going to stay with you until someone else doesn't pet him. And you don't want Honga around because Honga is going to slowly eat through your resources. In fact, every turn, he's going to eat one of your resources, starting with fish, then berries. Then if there's no mushroom, he'll go to water. If there's no water, then he'll start eating your mammoths, the mammoths that you created, not the ones that you haven't yet. And he'll keep eating you out of house and home. Even if you have nothing to start with, Honga's still going to stay there. He's not going to leave until someone does not feed Honga. Now, there are cards in this deck, one or two, that do get rid of Honga and put him to the center, but those are few and far between. Anyway, the purpose of the game, you're placing these hands out on the board, and of course you can place them on top of other hands. It doesn't matter. And if you run out of tiles, you'll just reshuffle these decks, and then you'll move around this board. Now, depending on whether it's a 4 to 5 player game, 3-player game, or 2-player game, you get to that certain level. Once someone hits there, you finish out the round, and then you score the mountain one more time. Even if no one's made it up to the top, you score it one more time. And then, of course, whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, here we go. Another Honga game that isn't Rhino Hero. Rhino Hero Super Battle. Is it as good as those? No, it isn't, but it is a fun game. I'll be honest, this is a great game. I like where you're playing the disc. I like how you're rearranging it, where you always got to put a hand on Honga to avoid getting him. But to be honest, as we found out in our games, Honga isn't that big of a threat. Yeah, sure, he's a detrimental to your game. If you have him, you always got to keep getting resources. But I've noticed that a lot of people have come close to winning or have won the game, and my nephew had Honga from the very beginning. He figured out, man, if I keep getting fish or keep getting, plenty of resources, I think I can make Honga happy and still win this game without having to waste a turn and place a hand on Honga. And he did it. And now Honga is not a threat in our games at all. You may not want him sometimes because sometimes he eats that one extra thing you needed for that extra card you need. Like, oh, gone it, I'll have to get more resources next time. But Honga isn't that detrimental to your game as he should be. So maybe if we change the rules and made him eat 2 of your resources instead of just 1, I think then he'd be a little bit more dangerous and a little bit more scary. So that is an easy fix to this game. So should you get the game? Yes. For kids, absolutely. For families, absolutely. For serious board gamers, I don't know. The other bad thing about this game is that it's very, very, very expensive, at least right now at the time of this video. And that's because you get a lot of chunky wood pieces. I mean, the quality of the cards, the cardstock, the player boards, everything is top-notch quality. So that's what you're paying for here, but it does make the price very expensive for a game that's, there are other games for this price that are much better. I'll just say that. But if it does drop in price or something that you think you'd like, definitely for families or for kids, this is well worth your time. I'm keeping the game. It's just that I wish Honga was a little bit more dangerous. Like I said, easily solved though. All right, gamers, that's it for now. Until next time, game on!